busy. I don't ever smoke the dizzy, but we can always share some dipsies. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to run. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Well, welcome guys. Miss Liz in the house, and I have the incredible Lindsey Dinneen in the house. I hope I'm pronouncing the last name right. If not, I'm going to get her to say it. But we have an incredible tea lined up for you today. Her tea is transforming energy into action. That is the tea that we are serving. We never serve a beverage in this house. We serve words and storytelling and all the incredible services out there. Today we're going to be talking about Protect Mech. I think. I hope I'm saying that right too. We're going to get all of that out there on Tea Time. But before we get started, you guys know how Miss Liz rolls. Get over to all those platforms: Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Lemonade, all those good ones. If I haven't mentioned them, Miss Liz is on those ones too. Get over to all the podcast apps, Podbean, Listen Note, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all those good platforms too as well. If you Google all the podcast apps, Miss Liz is out there. But check out babyboomers.org because Miss Liz is partnered with them. And if you're looking to be on other podcasts or you're looking for a different flavor that Miss Liz is not serving, you can find that on babyboomers.org. Check them out as well. So let's get started with a disclaimer and then a beautiful intro. And then we're going to get Lindsey in here and we're going to talk about her tea, transforming energy into action. Disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicating to sharing real life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. I, Miss Liz, is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all the content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by guests is based on their own experiences and is perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All guests, viewers, and participants are responsible for using their own good judgment when considering any action or decision that may relate to these discussions. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotionally triggering subjects. Listeners' and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, legal, or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have any questions regarding this disclaimer or the content of this discussion, you are welcome to contact me, aka Miss Liz, directly at my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com or visit my link tree at Miss Liz's Tea Time. By choosing to participate in, comment on, or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntary, and I, Miss Liz, welcome you to join the conversation with an open heart. And if at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect your wishes and decision and welcome you back whenever you are ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup at a time. Well, welcome to Tea Time with Miss Liz, where conversations bring awareness, innovation, and humanity together, reminding us that behind every industry, every mission, and every breakthrough, there are people working to truly make a difference in the lives of others. Today's guest brings a beautiful blend of leadership, creativity, strategy, and heart-centered connection to the world of tech and business development. Please join me in welcoming Lindsey Dinneen, Director of Marketing and Engagement at Project MedTech, host of the Leading Difference podcast, business consultant, fractional CMO, and founder of On Point Consulting. Through her work in MedTech, leadership, marketing, branding, and storytelling, Lindsey helps elevate conversations around innovation, leadership, healthcare, technology, and people behind the process shaping lives around the world. As host of the Leading Difference, Lindsey's interviews MedTech leaders, innovators, scientists, engineers, and entrepreneurs who are creating meaningful impacts through healthcare and technology. What makes Lindsey's work so powerful is her ability to combine professionalism with humanity, reminding people that leadership is not about results, but also about empathy, curiosity, integrity, and connection. Today's Tea Time is about leadership with authenticity, innovation, and impact in medtech, storytelling as a force for connection, supporting entrepreneurs and visionaries, and the human side of healthcare innovators. Lindsey reminds us that behind every advancement in healthcare is a story, a purpose, and people committed to creating a better future for others. So grab your cup and join us for a thoughtful and inspiring conversation filled with innovation, insight, and real life tea, truth, experience, and awareness. So let me get Lindsey in here and let's spill some tea. Welcome, Lindsey.
Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for having me, Miss Liz. I even have my own cup of tea today, so I'm fully prepared.
She has the tea. I don't have the tea, guys. Oh, my goodness. We're going to spill a good cup of tea today because Miss Liz doesn't have her tea. Lindsey, let's get to know you a little bit before we get into the med tech and then on point consulting and all that good stuff. Who is Lindsey as a little girl and who's Lindsey now?
I love that. Okay, so Lindsey is a little girl. Well, first of all, I had very odd ambitions as a very young child. Like before, I even really understood what these entailed. Originally, apparently, I told my mom that I would like to be either a race car driver or a police station. Not a police officer, a police station. And I don't know where this came from, but that was originally the plan, apparently. My mom, however, had the good foresight to introduce me to a video of the Nutcracker Ballet, and I fell completely in love with the costumes and tiaras first, dancing second. I started dancing when I was 4 years old and honestly just completely fell in love, never stopped, haven't stopped. And so that was who I was as a little girl, very, very shy, very, very introverted, very timid. I remember just a lot of times kind of just waiting and observing and then getting involved. And me now is a very different character for sure. Finally learned how to come out of my shell and how to be bold, but also do so in a respectful, really kind, really how can I give back kind of way. And so I think, along the way, there's quite a bit of stories, of course, that take you from, that little 4-year-old who just adored dance and wanted to do it all the time to me now, who gets to combine a lot of different passions, including all the things that I love with dance and creativity, but then that business side of things too. And there are stories about that, actually. I'll just briefly mention one that's funny too, because also as a little girl, I also had an interest in business, which I know sounds funny, but one of my favorite gifts for Christmas was this set of like basic office supplies, like literally like an old phone that didn't work, an expired credit card, a notepad for taking notes, and like a receipt ledger. And I thought it was like the best gift. So I played Office for years and years. And anyway, I say that I played hard in order to succeed later.
Lindsey, I'm going to let you keep talking because my computer is doing a restart. I will be right back. Everyone keep listening to Lindsey. I will be right back. This was not planned.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I am more than happy to keep talking. Goodness. So yeah, that was my background. But anyway, so I did start with, like I said, the just having like two sides of the coin for myself. And we had so again, I've had the business side, I have the creative side, and then I eventually got to marry them together. And I'm sure we'll probably get into those topics a little later on, but I always loved being able to have really both sides of the coin. Dance has this creative outlet that I'm just super passionate about. I love the ability to tell stories through art and the ability to make a difference and create this kind of atmosphere of I don't know, delight and inspiration. But at the same time, I think that there are opportunities to bring that creativity and that energy into the business side of things. And that's something that I really love too. And just one thing I'm super passionate about now. Hello, we're back.
That was totally unexpected. So sorry, guys. I was just like, what the heck is going on here? This is the joys of a live show, right? You just never know what's going to happen with technology.
Live theater. I love it. We take it and we roll. It's all good.
Right? The show must go on.
That's right.
So Lindsey, just let me catch up where you left off when I skipped out.
Oh, no worries. Yeah. So I was telling the audience that, I've always had sort of those two sides to the coin for me. So I've always had the business side that I was really interested in and the dance side that I was really passionate about too. And so, along the way, and maybe we'll get into it, maybe not, of how those things have both merged and been sort of parallel tracks in my life. But, the thing that I just love is I love dance. I'm super passionate about storytelling and the ability of the arts to create connections and pathways and bring us together as humans. But I think we can do the same thing in business in different ways when you really have empathic leadership and you have people who are trying to make a real difference in the world. And those are the kinds of things that I love to connect and amplify. So, yeah.
I love it because when I did the research on you, Lindsey, I was like, oh, dance and strategy. Oh, there is strategy in dancing, right? And the connection, knowing the body and knowing your clients as well, right? So let's get into how that blends in together with both fields of work that you do.
Sure. Yeah, I think, for instance, dance taught me a lot that I will never forget. Like one of the things that I really appreciate is dance taught me grit. It taught me resilience. It taught me how to take correction really well and with grace. It taught me teamwork. It taught me that no role is too small. We are all part of a beautiful picture, creating a dream. And I think it also, to your point, it taught me a lot about awareness, not just body awareness, which is, of course, helpful in terms of all kinds of things, even just like being aware of those around you kind of thing, but also just the idea of being aware of those around you and sort of what's happening. And to your point, at live theater, there was no better example than your computer restarting in the sense that, okay, what if somebody trips and falls? Well, you just got to keep going. You know what I mean? You figure it out on the fly. And so you have this improv quality that helps too. And then translating all of that to business. Oh my gosh, how helpful is that? Because I can be aware of those around me. I can be aware of the emotions and the body language, especially, I would say, as a dancer, being able to read somebody else's body language and respond and go, this person seems like they might be uncomfortable in this moment. How can I maybe relate to them in a different way? Or, as a fellow introvert, I can sometimes see the introverts who might not be ready to pipe up in a conversation and might just need more time to process before we, invite them in to have a conversation. Maybe that's one-on-one and not on a group. So I think there's a lot of things that translate really well from one to the other. And I love seeing those connections made.
Absolutely. And that's what business is about, right? Enjoying the connection, enjoying the ride, the feel, the dance, right? The flow. We don't talk about that in business. We make it so straight, like a black and white line, right? Let's put a little wiggle in there. Let's put some movement in there, and that's what I found when I looked up stuff for you and I did my little homework that I do, right? Is I was just like, I can see the two businesses connecting in a different way. You offer two different services, but you also bring the same service, if that makes sense, together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that gets into a little bit about what I do today. And again, I'm really thankful that I have those two sides to me and I get to continue to nurture them. So on the straight up business side, I have, as Miss Liz said, I'm the director of marketing engagement for Project MedTech. And with them, I do marketing, media, events, and partnership development for the company itself and then for our clients. And we are a consultancy that helps medical devices come to market. And so I get to channel this sort of business development, marketing strategy brain that I have, a side of my brain that I have, into helping these incredible innovators who are really, truly dedicated to accelerating medical technology to improve patient lives. I get to help them tell their stories so that people can know about their technologies and purchase their, be involved in the technologies. And that's such a cool thing to be a part of it. I'm so grateful for that. And then on the other hand, with the fractional work that I'm doing, I have clients that I help build dance studios from the ground up. And so, or, maybe they've already had a successful dance studio, but they're looking to take it to the next level kind of thing. And so getting to help those entrepreneurs as well realize their dreams. I mean, I don't think there's any better gift than getting to help somebody else accomplish the dreams that they want to accomplish. So yeah, it's a really fun pathway. No day is the same, and I'm never bored, and that's my favorite.
I love it because you're offering services for the dance studio, but you're also offering services for the medical field. And do you feel that the medical field has a lot of movement in it?
Yes. Oh my goodness. That is one of my favorite things about being part of the medtech industry is there is so much innovation coming out. And, it's interesting. One of the things that I wanted to do, you mentioned earlier in the intro that I have a podcast called The Leading Difference. And one of the things that I really wanted to do, I came into the medtech industry with barely any knowledge of what it entailed, how it worked, and anything like that. I often say I happily stumbled into the industry, found my people and my happy place, and never looked back. And it's true. I think what's cool about this space and what I wanted to tell through the Leading Difference podcast was that, sometimes from an outside perspective, it's easy to have maybe a little judgment or just misunderstanding of perhaps like, oh, well, people in this space might be in it just for the money. And we want people to be successful. We want people to make a good living, of course. But what I kept hearing time and time again was these innovators had deeply personal stories of a situation where they wished something had existed that didn't, or they wished that something existed better in a more in a way that made more of a difference kind of thing. And so they set out, and it's a hard road to get a medical device to market. And so they set out trying to do this and make a real difference in the world. And I think that's incredible. So again, getting to play a small part in the storytelling aspect of it and share that, I think is really magical.
I think so too, and I'm a strong believer that personal stories is a new way of today's world, right? Is getting those stories heard. For many, many generations, we didn't hear stories. We didn't hear personal stories, right? They were in the back burner. It was the movies and the scripts and stuff that were coming to the table. But now I feel that the personal stories are coming to the front of the table and the movies are going to the back of the table. It's almost like a switch, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It's interesting. I was talking to somebody the other day who does research. I mean, she is a researcher, and she was saying that she's amazed at how the trend has come to people more and more are trending towards appreciating and consuming content that is just real and raw. Like, again, today's such a great example. Things don't always go to plan. Who knows what's going to happen?
Business gets kicked out of the show.
It's real life. This is what we're here for. This is who we are. And people connect with humans. Like, they don't want that, overly choreographed situation, even though that sounds delightful. And sometimes we all want to present it like that, but that's just not life. Life is messy. It's silly. It's wonky things happen. The dog starts barking, the chickens, whatever. Like,
and that's why I love doing live shows, right? Because it shows the authenticity in real life, that the doorbell's going to ring, the dog's going to bark, the cat's going to run across the counter. That's everyday life. And that doesn't mean that we can't serve resources and services and books and, literacy through a live conversation. And I think that's where the connection with the audience also engages and says, you know what? This feels so live. This is like going to grandma's house and grandma's having cookies being made and she's running after the grandkids and, it's life. Yeah. And I think storytelling needs to come to life that way. in
Yeah.
a real raw openness. I didn't know my computer was going to do a restart, and that kind of just puts my guests on the spot. Okay, you got to take over, like, and that's life. Like, somebody might knock on the door and say, you know what, oh, I got to go. There's an emergency. Life
Right.
happens. And I think by being open and honest like that with the audience as well, they connect more.
Yeah. Could not agree more. Yeah. And I think that connection is essential. They talk about that in sort of marketing 101. If you've got to get to know, like, and trust the person that you're potentially buying from. And they also say that, humans want to buy from humans. And I think there's so much to that, right? And so storytelling is one of the most powerful ways to connect a human to another human, because even though I might not have ever walked a mile in your shoes, I can still walk alongside you and listen to you along that mile and understand better, because you being able to tell me how you felt and what you experienced in that moment, in that difficulty or that challenge or whatever it is, or that triumph, right? I can go, you know what? I haven't experienced the exact same thing, but gosh, I can relate to you. I can relate to that emotion, and that's connection, and that's empathy building. And then the world really needs that.
That is something that, we struggle with today. I found during COVID, we had so much empathy. And then as soon as COVID went away, the empathy went away.
Yeah.
And I so want to bring it back. And everybody keeps saying, Miss Liz, we don't want COVID back. I don't want COVID back, guys. I want the empathy back. I want the outrageous things that people did to connect with each other. Putting themselves in bubble wrap so they could give a grandma and grandpa a hug, right? Like, those are the things I want. And that's what I want in the business world, is I want to have that empathy there.
Yeah.
And I think once we start building the relationships, before we start building the profits, then we start connecting and we start opening real big doors, and the innovation really gets big and large. We have some questions that are coming into the studio that I just want to get out to you, Lindsey.
Yeah.
Because I want my listeners to know that I do see you guys commenting. I'm going to get to them. The first one I have for you is from Jeffrey, and it's, Lindsey, what was the biggest challenge when building ventures with little or no budget?
Oh, great question. Yes. So, okay. I love it because, so going back a little bit, I was a few years into my career and had an opportunity to produce so again, actually, let me go back even further. I started my career with kind of two tracks going at the same time. One, I was working for small businesses and marketing, business development kind of roles. And then two, I was working in as a professional ballerina. And so I always had those sort of two tracks going in parallel. And then I had an opportunity to merge them, where I was given this opportunity to produce a show at the Kansas City Fringe Festival. And so instead of just wanting to do a one-off show, I decided to, because of course, crazy. It's too young to know that this is ridiculous, but that's fine. And I did it. And so I started a nonprofit professional dance company and launched that. And then 7 months later, I think, you'll find out very quickly, I don't sit still very well, I also started a brick and mortar dance studio. And both of those were totally on my own budget. I was also still working full time. So I was trying to support myself and then also support the ventures. And quickly realized, that with a $0 marketing budget, you have to be super creative of how you get the word out and how you build that trust. And so I think it is important that you have creativity. And I love that, because I think it forces you to come at it in a different way. Like, if I had a major budget, I could have just tried a whole bunch of things, but I didn't. And so a big thing that I did was start to try to build, again, that know, like, and trust factor in my community. I volunteered all the time for different events, especially if they were arts related events or something where I was super passionate about it already. And maybe there was potentially an audience there that might want to either see our company perform or, attend dance classes. So I started showing up and giving back all the time. That is actually a huge good word of mouth opportunity, because then people, again, got to know, like, and trust me, and then through that, even if they didn't need my services or were interested in dance per se, if that opportunity arose to refer, I was usually somebody that they referred to, which was amazing, right? So I think that was a huge part of it. I think another thing was just, yes, being present was such a big deal. Another thing is thought leadership, and I highly encourage that for people who are starting out, is try to find as many opportunities as you can to demonstrate your expertise and your thought leadership in a humble way. I mean, of course, you know, you want to be relatable. You want to showcase your passion for what you do, but also you want to demonstrate that you do have a level of expertise and you may be worth listening to. So I think those two things were some of the best things that I did. But honestly, that giving up giving back, showing up was key. And then of course, that's where grit comes in and persistence, and the times where you're like, is this ever going to pay off? You have to keep trusting and keep building. And on the hard days, you go, you know what? I know I'm meant to do this, and I'm just going to do the best as I can for as long as I can. Did that answer that?
Absolutely. You know, and having no budget sometimes opens that mind of creativity, right? Because you don't have the opportunity to just say, you know what? Oh, I have this much budget and I can put this. So it makes the mind open up more, you know, and you can say, you know what? This hasn't been done yet. Let me try it. Let me get a little crazy. I like the little crazies out there, you know, the little rebels that say, you know what? Let's try this, you know, and having no budget sometimes opens the mind of understanding the business world a lot.
Yeah.
Because so many people focus on the profit and the dollar sign, right? That they close their mind to the creativity.
Right. Very good point. Love that. Yep.
Well, we have a comment here, and it's from Brandon, and it says, Lindsey's journey is so motivating. Building businesses and nonprofits with limited resources takes real determination and creativity. We have a question here from Link. So can creativity sometimes be more valuable than funding in the beginning stages?
Yes. Yes. Thank you for asking that. Yes, I think so. I mean, I think because it forces you to think out of the box. And I think one of the hard things, the hard, maybe good, but hard things is that sometimes if you've, especially like for me, I'll just use myself as an example, growing up in the dance industry. I mean, I was in studios all the time. I actually worked at the studio that I grew up at. And so I was very immersed in that world and the way that the industry really thinks about things. And I think that there's advantages to that, but then there's also the limitations of that, where sometimes you're not forced to think outside of the box of like, well, how does another industry do this? Or just simply like, what's a creative idea? Okay, so I'll give you an example. One thing that we did early on was we partnered with a local animal shelter, and we did a free community class that was called Pups and Pliés. And the shelter brought these adoptable pups, and we did like a bar fitness class. And then the donations that people gave for the class went towards animal shelter. And, you know, hopefully some of the doggos got adopted. But the idea was like, okay, what's a fun way that we could maybe get the word out there too, but in a way that will build our business organically. And so I think you're right that even though funding is lovely to have, I'm not gonna lie,
it's nice to have.
I do agree with you that actually sometimes forcing yourself to think outside of the box and go, hey, has this even been done before? Do you think we could try it? Let's see. And sometimes you pick up local press from those kinds of out of the box thinking. I mean, you just never know. So yeah, I love that.
Absolutely. You know, and Miss Liz will make you all think a little about funding, right? When's the last time you thought outside of the box without a budget? Take the budget away and see what your next event will come up with. Get a little crazy, get outside of that box, because you just never know what will come to the table. You know, I want people to use this, you know,
That's right.
think outside that box and have some fun. Let's get creative and let's just make a better world, right? The next question we have here is from Mario. Is a great topic. How do you stay motivated when an ideal takes a long time to succeed?
Oof. Yes. Great. Another great question. Yeah, I think there's a few things here. I think, there are, I certainly remember days where, as a solopreneur, people would tell me things like, oh, you must be living the dream. And that's so exciting. You get to do what you do. And I was like, I just came from scrubbing the toilets and now I'm teaching classes for 4 hours and then I'll go home and do admin for 4 hours. But, you know,
And I'll throw a load of laundry in while I can.
mind you, this is after the full-time job. So like, let's, put things into perspective, right? So I think there's a few things that help with motivation. I think honestly, sometimes it's the passion and you think, like for me with the dance studio, I'm so thankful. I could tell that the classes we were doing were making a difference in kiddos and adults' lives, especially those who either had never had a chance to dance before. And so they were kind of like, I say this in the kindest way imaginable, like misfits in more traditional studio settings, because they didn't quite fit in with the leveling that worked. And we were able to be more flexible with that. Or maybe had a difficult experience previously. And so we ended up cultivating this culture of inclusivity and we celebrated each other. And it was just like a really positive, very intentionally curated culture. And so I was really passionate about recognizing that what we were doing mattered. And that did help with the motivation because honestly, when I started out, I had one student and I was like, fingers crossed, right? And then, by the time of the first recital, which was maybe a couple of months after I started, it was like, I think I had like 13 students. I mean, it was a painful, not instant success start by any stretch of the imagination. So I think having the passion, knowing that what you're doing matters and makes a difference is huge. But I think another just maybe underrated thing is motivation sometimes is best thought of as a habit. Like if you go through the motions day after day after day, you know that you're building on a foundation. And even though it's not always fun, even though sometimes the passion isn't as high or the days get really long and difficult, I think when you've built a foundation of really positive habits that can stack and keep building, that makes a difference. And then the final thing I would say is make time for you. This was something I learned way too late. Like I got very burnt out, to be honest. And it was a little bit of a difficult time for a while. And I had to realize, okay, that's because I wasn't ever taking care of myself. And, things like morning meditation and exercise for me, like I was still dancing, but there's other things that I needed to do. Like I needed to go on walks more often. That fills my soul. Find what fills your soul and make sure you're doing that regularly would be my other recommendation.
Absolutely. And burnout is real. It does happen, because you keep give and give and give and give and give. I had a burnout last year and then I was just like, you know what? The burnout wasn't what I was doing with this. It was what I was doing with that. Yeah. So the burnout was that I wasn't giving myself that time. Yeah. I was giving all my time to everything else but myself. Right. And the body just says, you know what, I'm just going to burn you out and you're not going to do anything for anybody, including yourself.
Right. Exactly. Which is unfortunate. But when they talk about how the body holds the score, it's true. It Absolutely. Is true. So, fill your own teacup up before pouring into the lives of others.
Absolutely. She has a teacup today, guys. Miss Liz does not have her tea because I was busy with my granddaughter. My granddaughter popped over before tea time. And she's actually watching Tea Time right now in the living room because she wants to see what grandma's teaching today. So she's watching and she's 5 years old. So see, she's starting at a young age. She wants to understand what Tea Time is all about. You just never know how old they begin to understand business, right? We have a question here from James Show, and it's how important is purpose when starting a business or nonprofit today?
Well, I mean, my first instinct is to say that purpose in my mind is kind of everything. Now, but let me caveat, I'm a very purpose-driven individual. I think work matters entirely because there's a place for everybody and all of the things that go into building a better world. They all matter. For me personally, I have to know that my contribution in my mind, what to me is purposeful, is mission driven, and it makes a difference. But you know, everybody has their different ideas of what that looks like for them. So
Yeah.
I have one idea, somebody else has a different idea. In my mind, when I'm going to create a new venture to help avoid that burnout and to help get through the long days and to feel like I am fulfilling my purpose, and my purpose can evolve over time, right? I need to have a purpose-driven business. I need to have a core belief in why I'm doing what I'm doing, more than just I have an idea for a cool gadget and maybe I want to create it. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. And so I don't want to say that one is better than the other. I think it very much depends on you and what, you know, like, hey, there are so many cool inventors out there who are just like, I just want to tinker with this thing and like, maybe it'll work and maybe people will buy it. Great. That's awesome. Do that. You know, you can still contribute to the world in any which way. Right. So I think but even then I would wonder if it would still come back to that inventor's desire to tinker as purpose in their minds. So I don't know. I think purpose is really important. I know that didn't quite answer it fully, but I'm going to ponder that more. But for me, purpose matters a lot.
Purpose for myself, I feel if you don't have the purpose, what is the drive?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Are you just doing it because you can? It's like I wrote a book, well, because I can. Well, what was the purpose behind writing the book? Yeah. Was it to make a difference? Was it to tell your story? Was it just to get the creativity side out, like that story outside of you? Like, you know, there's always a reason. And that's why I like having different topics on Teatime, because what is the drive behind what you do?
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have that drive and that purpose behind it, why are you doing it? Yeah.
Well, that's such a good point. And it's something that actually came up quite a bit. I remember one time, so I'm sure this is no surprise to anyone, but dancing at a professional level, dancing in general is hard. Dancing at a professional level is extremely hard. It is really, really taxing on your body, on your emotions, on everything. It's a lot. And I remember often talking to my students about, you know, only do this if you love it, right? Only do this if this brings you joy. Because if you don't, it's probably too hard. And there are other things that you should go find your joy, right? And I was asked specifically why I dance. And eventually I was trying to contemplate it, you know, boil it down. And I dance because it inspires my soul. And I think when your soul is inspired, you have that passion, it shines through pretty clearly, and it can inspire other people to find their joy and inspiration and passion in life. And so I think the more that you can bring that to the world and shine that light, so to speak, I think it makes a difference. Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, and dancing expresses, right? Marketing expresses.
Yeah.
You know, we don't look so deep in the cup sometimes. It's right on the flow. It's right on the line, right? Yeah. As the lyric just begins, as the music just begins, it's that first step onto the dance floor, right? That it gets you to move and understand why you do what you do. And I think that's what the purpose is and drive. You know, I know a lot of people say, well, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. Well, if you're the shooter, you should be doing it yourself, because you're mirroring what you think I should be doing. So just do it yourself. Don't be afraid. Just do it. And you're going to get judged whether you like it or not. I get judged all the time. I get called a crazy tea lady all the time. And you know what? I am crazy. And I like my tea. My tea are my guests, and they come with different adventures and different stories and different perspectives. And that's what life is all about, is just getting it out there and doing it. Just take that first step. Take that first dance.
That's right. Could not agree more.
We got a question here from Ariel. It is, what habit helped you turn ideals into consistent action over the years?
Ooh, love it. So I think there are a few things. I will caveat, I am extremely self-motivated. I am driven. That's kind of just who I've been my entire life, just really motivated, self-motivated, which helps. In terms of actual habits, I think there's a lot of wonderful things. You know, I like, so I get these crazy ideas, right? I'm like, I'm going to open a dance studio. Well, I don't even remember how old. I was not even 30. I was, again, in my 20s. And okay, that's really young. But I had this idea, this vision, and I thought, okay, if I want to do this, how do I do this? And I like to work backwards from a goal. And I think one of the habits that really helps me was developing that strategy of, what is this crazy end goal that you want to accomplish? And then let's go backwards and let's break it down, because that feels probably insurmountable. But if I take one action today to get me closer to my dream, and I keep doing that on a consistent basis, all of a sudden I've achieved it. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing, right? But I think part of the habit is doing a daily action that gets you closer to the dreams and goals you want to accomplish. So if, for instance, if you want to write a book, which is a great example, that's a really lofty goal, right? And it feels really daunting because you're like, oh my gosh, how many words and all the time and all the things. Yeah, you're right. But if you just write for like 5 minutes a day, that's it, right? Just write for 5 minutes a day. That builds the momentum. And maybe one day you'll be like super inspired. You're going to write for 30 minutes. And the next day you're like, I don't know, but write for 5, jot something down. Who cares? It doesn't matter. So I think for me, it's the biggest thing is taking daily actions towards the things that I want to accomplish. And it can be really small. Like, I'll just throw this out there. For instance, right now, I have written a few children's book manuscripts, and I would love to get them published. And this is a good reminder to me in this very moment of like, okay, well, if you want to do that, then okay, so you've got the manuscripts, but now you have to actually actively send them, out and query them, right? And so it's not just we're not one and done. And I have done that, but I need to keep building on that, and I need to take an action every day. Maybe that is simply like, okay, who's the next person I'm going to reach out to about this? And that's it. One email. That's it. And we're going to start there. And then we're just going to do another email tomorrow, and then another email the day after. So that's actually a pretty timely reminder.
Well, it kind of goes into what Kelly's asking. Kelly asks, in your opinion, what stops most people from acting on their ideals?
Oh,
and you kind of shared it. Like, you got the manuscript, you got this, you got that. I'm the same way. I got 12 different versions of my children's book, and I'm just like, oh. And my daughter's like, Mom, just get it done.
Motivating for both of us. Oh, dang.
Right? We got caught. Oh boy.
Honestly, those are some of my favorite moments where I'm like, oh, dang, I got to live up to my own standards. Shoot. Okay. So what stops most people from acting on their ideas? Honestly, I think it's fear. I think it's fear of potentially failure. I think it's a fear of what other people will think. I think it can be a fear of a lot of different things. And those are genuine fears, right? They're difficult to get over. I think one of the biggest changes for me on a mindset mentality surrounding fear is because, okay, so let me put that aside for just a second. Why I think it's fear is because I think that if you can get over that fear, or as I'm about to tell you, another strategy for fear, if you could set it aside in a sense, you will actually be able to continue building towards those dreams. But fear is it's a stop, right? It's like you definitely can't do this. You're never going to succeed, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot of voices in your head that tell you this isn't going to be the right thing. One thing that I have changed my mindset to be about fear is, first of all, it's a normal instinct, right? It's there to protect you on a evolutionary basis. It's there to keep you alive. And that's a good thing. So we don't need to completely toss it out the window, but I like to think about it as, okay, if I'm in the driver's seat of my life, I'm going to sit fear next to me. It can stay there. It can give me twinges every now and then when it's like, next year, take that curve a little slower, or whatever. That's not a bad thing. But what it can't do, it can't change the radio. It can't change, how fast I'm going specifically, right? Like it can say, hey, maybe just be aware, but it can't change my direction, my map. It can't do any of that. What it can do is sit beside me. I can acknowledge it and say, thanks for being here. I got this, and keep going forward. So I think for me, that was the mindset shift that I had to do, because I did have periods of like really intense fear especially as a young entrepreneur with this like brick and mortar building I had to pay for, plus, the payroll and all those kinds of things. Those are real emotions, but fear stops us if we let it. If we don't, we say, all right, I hear you. I'm going to solve this. I'm going to keep moving forward.
Absolutely. It goes into the next question that came in from Cart, and it's, what's one simple step someone can take today to move their vision forward?
So many things. One simple step, I think, is tell somebody about it. You don't even have to tell, you don't even have to tell a close friend or somebody you wonder if they're going to judge you for it, or like maybe be negative about it, but tell somebody about it. Heck, tell me about it. Send me an email. I'd love to hear about it. Because I'm such a supporter of dreams. But anyway, but really, I think when you say, there's a lot of power in saying something out loud, and maybe that's your first step actually, is saying it out loud to yourself. I want this in my life. Like, I have this vision for this thing. You can journal about it. You can do whatever, but I think there's a lot of power in speaking something out loud, and especially when you speak it to somebody else, because then it feels more real. If it's stuck in your head, if it's stuck in your body per se, that's not a bad thing, but it has no outlet. This way, you've put it out there, and you never know you never know when that one person is going to be like, I like it. And then they're going to say, you know what, I'm not sure if I have the resources for you, but heck, I know this person over here who did a similar thing. Maybe you guys should talk. Or they might be the connector. They might be just the supporter of like, hell yeah, this is amazing. You should absolutely do this. Whatever the situation is. I think that there's a lot of power in that. So that I would say that's one simple step to take first.
Well, even saying it out loud, Lindsey, it's putting it out in the universe, right?
Yep.
Because once it's out in the universe, things happen. I'm in this room sometimes and I talk to myself a lot, and then all of a sudden I get a submission for a tea time guest. I'm just like, what? Who was in this room with me?
There you go.
So you just never know, right? You got to put it out there. You just
Yeah.
got to get it out into the universe, and doors will open, things will happen.
Yeah.
That's all Tea Time has done for me, is I just put it out there, and look I have Lindsey here today, and we're starting. And we have a question here from Citrus, is how has working in med tech changed the way you think about impact and innovation?
Yeah, absolutely. So, so I think as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that I just so value about the medtech industry is the fact that these are really amazing, caring people who found a gap and want to solve for it. And so they are at the intersection of innovation and impact. And they've chosen to work in a field like that I said is actually a really, really difficult choice. It's expensive, it's long, it's hard, because you're going through all the regulation. You're going through, how do I get reimbursement for this? How do I commercialize this product? It is not simple. And so what I love about it is that these are people who have said, oh, I see all of this. I see these potential roadblocks, and they've said, I think that this innovation needs to become a reality. And therefore, I'm going to do everything I can to make the most impact with this as I possibly can. And so for me, it's really inspiring to see that. It's really also encouraging, because I think there's a lot of challenges happening, of course, in the world right now. Being able to see how many people truly care about improving people's lives through medical devices and technology and health, that's really encouraging. That makes me think, you know what? There's always light. There's always light in various dark places. And if we can continue to shine that light brighter, which I feel like is part of what I get to do in marketing, then I think we might be okay.
So how did MedTech find Lindsey?
The company, how did it find me?
Did they see you dancing? How did they find you?
Okay. So I actually found them. They started a podcast. Project MedTech podcast was actually the foundation of the company. And they have always been about bringing value and impact to people. And so the host and the CEO of the company, Dwayne Mancini, had this vision to have conversations with other industry experts to help kind of explore topics that were really relevant to startups, where maybe if they didn't know about this particular area of bringing a device to market or medtech in general, that could be a stumbling block. But what if we just have these conversations where we say, here's the things you need to know about X, Y, and Z? So that is how the brand got started as a whole. And that's how I found out about them, was through the podcast. And at the time I was working for a different company, and I was like, they're on to something. I know this is going places. This is so exciting. And I wanted to be a part of it even through the other companies. So we actually sponsored the podcast for a while. And then fast forward a couple of years, I was kind of looking for my next opportunity. And so I reached out and said, hey, do you happen to need any marketing support? And it turned out to be the right place at the right time. And I'm very, very happy that it all worked out, because I absolutely love working with the team. They're fantastic. They are truly passionate and caring about people and about making a difference. And so, yeah, that's that's the origin story.
That's the way the world works, right? We find people sometimes, and we're just like,
right.
Hey, you need somebody.
Okay, and that's my other big piece of advice for somebody who wants to bring their vision to life. You got to ask the question. I mean, worst case scenario, it's no. But if you don't ask, you'll never know, right?
Absolutely. You got to ask, do you need somebody?
Exactly.
Lindsey, tell us a little bit about the consulting business as well. Time is just flying by. We're almost done here. And I haven't even gotten started with any of my questions, but I will get at least one out. So tell us a little bit about the consulting business.
Yeah. So because I had the experience owning and running a dance studio for a while, I thought, you know what, I have this business sense. I have the specific dance studio sense or experience or whatever. And then I understand the dance industry, and like, how do we put this all together? And so I started offering consulting for dance studios. And so one of my very first clients was one where they were a business couple, very, very savvy in business, but didn't know the dance world at all. They had children that wanted to dance. There weren't a lot of opportunities in the area. And so they asked if I would kind of come alongside them and help build the studio from the ground up. And so that was such a fun experience. I got to really work with them from day one and, offer the crazy quirks and nuances of the dance industry and what you have to kind of consider that might be different than other businesses that they had run before. And that really launched a passion for helping, fellow people who, hey, maybe they were on the opposite side. They have the amazing artistic background and they're really passionate about teaching, but they don't have the business side. And so they don't know how to bring that vision to life. And so I created a course as well, where it helps people. It just walks them through step by step. How do you do this? How do you make this a reality? And it's really fun to be a part of, again, somebody else's dream come true. So yeah, that's a big thing that I do as well.
Well, I want to get into your tea before we wrap it up. And your tea that you gave me was transforming energy into action. Why'd you give me that for a tea?
Yes. Well, honestly, coming up with something was challenging.
You guys are overthinking too much. It's in your cup. What's in your cup right now, girl?
Okay, this is a Yorkshire.
It's almost like a tea reading. Your inner cup. What's in your inner cup?
Yeah. So yeah, okay. So transforming energy into action. I think the whole idea is so for instance, you might have been able to tell I have a lot of energy especially when I'm really passionate about something. I might be a little bit too much, to be honest, for some people, but
You're my cup of tea.
Goodness, but I care a lot, and so I'm passionate, I'm energetic. But here's the thing: sometimes that alone is wonderful, but if that's all it stays and it just happened to be words and excitement and woo, that's fine. But it actually has to go from that into action. It's like the idea of ideas by themselves are worthless, which I hate that. I hate that, right? But in the sense that ideas without action kind of are worthless. Like you have to take that idea and make it into something. And so I think for me, it's I love, for myself and for people I get to work with and interact with, I love encouraging that transformation of take the energy, take the passion that you have, and then go and do something good in the world as a result. So I guess that's how I would sum that up.
Well, Lindsey, you know what? When you say ideals without action are worthless, they are, because you're wasting energy. You're wasting moments, right? And maybe it's fear, or maybe it's just you have a bunch of ideals and you're just thinking it's like a cookie jar, right? You have all these different cookies in, and then you don't eat any of them. What good is that? The cookies are almost stale, and you got to throw them out. Like, and the tea is so simple. It's just whatever is the passion and purpose within you, right? And a lot of people think of the TEE or the TEA, the letters. It doesn't have to be those, guys. It's what's your story? What are you bringing to the table? Why do you want to bring that to the table? And Lindsey, when you reached out to me, I was just like, oh, dance. My youngest one was a dancer for many years in dance. And I was like, I need a dancer. I haven't had a dancer on Teatime. And then I went back and I said, oh, I did have a couple of dancers, but I wasn't paying attention at the time. Seems like you grow from each time, right?
Yeah.
So Lindsey, what would your final message be for everybody tonight that is listening? We've been all over the place. Miss Liz got kicked out of the studio. We got all of that good stuff going on, guys. This is really a good tea time to check out. I'm telling you, lots of laughter, lots of joy. But Lindsey, what's your final message for everybody out there?
Yeah, I think that there is so much to be said for dreams and for making dreams come true. And I think that as much as you can go out into the world and find your passion, find the things that bring you inspiration and joy, find the things that when you do them, you could continue doing them forever. Don't lose sight of that. Hold on to those things, whether or not they make you money per se. But I think what happens when you embrace those is that you do become this sort of beacon of light for that thing. And the world needs your light. So the more that you can go out and spread that joy and inspiration and passion and bring light to a difficult world or situation or challenge or whatever it is, I think that makes a huge difference. So I think my message would just be, go shine brightly. The world needs it.
There we go. We got a bunch of lights going on. A twinkle, twinkle, little star. Here we go.
That's right.
Lindsey, if you'd like to spell out your two websites, I got the first one up here on Point Business. If you'd just like to spell it out for the audio listeners, and then I'll bring up the other one.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's onpointbusinessconsulting.com, which is ONPOINTE, because of point being the ballet version of that. And then business, so BUSINESS, and then consulting, CONSULTING.com. So onpointbusinessconsulting.com. And then we have projectmedtech.com, which is PROJECTMEDTECH.com.
Well, thank you so much, Lindsay. It was a pleasure having you on Tea Time. I'm just going to do a quick wrap up of what today's Tea Time was, and we will be back at 7 p.m. for the last Tea Time of May, and then we're going to jump into June. The press release is out there, so check out Miss Liz's lineup for June. I will be posting it on my Facebook page, but if you check out the websites, you'll find Miss Liz all over with the 25 that are coming in June. Tea Time. What a thoughtful and inspiring conversation today. Lindsay, thank you for bringing your insight, warmth, leadership, and passion to the Tea Time table. Your work reminds us that innovation is not about technology. It is about people, purpose, and improving lives in meaningful ways. Today's conversation explored leadership, medtech, storytelling, entrepreneurship, and the importance of creating authentic human connection within industries that can sometimes feel highly technical or fast-moving. One of the strongest takeaways from today is this: real leadership happens when people choose to lead with both intelligence and empathy. Through Project MedTech, your consulting work, and your podcast conversations, you continue helping elevate voices, ideals, and innovations that are making a real difference in healthcare and beyond. You also reminded listeners that growth does not always come from having every answer. Sometimes growth begins with curiosity, listening, collaboration, and being willing to learn from others. Here's some food for thought to leave with everyone today. What kind of impact would you create if we focus less on competition and more on collaboration, connection, and helping others succeed along us? Because meaningful innovation does not happen in isolation. It grows through people willing to care deeply about the lives they touch. Thank you, Lindsay, for continuing to use your voice, leadership, and platform to help create positive change in the world. Until next time, keep leading with authenticity, keep building meaningful connections, and keep serving real life tea one conversation at a time. And I'll see everybody at 7 p.m. and we'll do this all over again.
Awesome. Thank you.